What is going on, guys? Winter Kills here, and I'm excited to announce that this is going to be one of the first of many feature matches that are going to be going up. I finally got to go to locals the other day and actually record. I played in a 3v3 tournament prior to this locals because there's two locals on the same day. Mega 3v3, which I played in. Our team did alright. I won 2 out of 3 of my matches playing some shit all trains, but I was able to record in this locals later, which I did not play in, so I could record. And hopefully I'll be bringing you guys more of these in the future as well, and hopefully I'll be in some of these feature matches as well if I can find a way to sort of play in the same tournament and record. But yeah, we've got Pendulum, Magician, Guard Dragon versus the Paleozoic Frog deck, which the player on the right actually was, he did get 3rd place at YCS Niagara, piloting Paleozoic Frog. Very, very good Paleozoic Frog player. Probably the best I know or have ever seen. Been playing the deck for quite some time. But Pendulum's opting to go first here, winning the dice roll, I believe, and getting started with an Electromite play to dump that purple Poison Magician to the extra deck from his deck. And now probably going to try to follow up with Electromite's secondary effect. Going to place that Jackal King into the scale to destroy it, to add a Pendulum card back from his face-up extra deck to draw a card. Deck's going to be cut first. Going to go ahead and take that draw. And I believe a Destrudo in hand as well, which we'll see be used for Guard Dragon plays eventually. Playing 2 scales, a Harmonizing Magician and Purple Poison Magician in both the scales. I'm going to go ahead and Pendulum summon another copy of Purple Poison from hand. And I think we'll see the Jackal King get Pendulum summoned as well. So Jackal King hitting the board alongside the Purple Poison Magician. And now I can only imagine we'll see a Destrudo come down, as he'll pay half life for that, at least to get a Guard Dragon play started. Yep, so he's going to use Destrudo, targeting the Purple Poison Magician. Get that dragon on board. And he's going to link that into LP now, I believe. So yeah, going to put that to the bottom of the deck after it has left the field. And go ahead and summon LP, Guard Dragon LP. And now here, probably going to go into Triple Burst, using the Purple Poison and the Electromite. Typical Guard Dragon plays we're used to seeing here at this point in this format. Giving him those 2 arrows down, but we're going to see an Ash Blossom on the LP. Smart saving that Ash. Could have ashed the Electromite if he wanted to, but saving it for the inevitable Guard Dragon plays. Perhaps Electromite not looking too threatening at that given point. Linking those off for a copy of Heretic Spheres, as there's not really much else he can do. No spell counters on that Jackal King, so nothing to negate there. The only thing he has to worry about is a Compulse and a special summon of an Eruption. So going to summon the Swap Frog and dump Ronin Toad into the graveyard. And go to swing now, and he's going to chain the Heretic Spheres to bounce that Swap Frog back to his hand. And then he'll use a Heretic Sphere's second effect to special summon, and that is going to be Aether the Evil Empowering Dragon. When it is normal special summon, you can target 1 monster in the field and banish it. Now, the Paleo player has not invested too much at all into this field, so the Swap Frog already gets bounced back to his hand by Heretic Spheres, leaving no target for Aether, so that effect going unused. And looks like he's going to set 4 and pass over to the Pendulum player. Having, not done too much this turn, the traps are going to sort of pick up the slack. Heavy Storm Duster now being activated at the start of the turn to destroy both of those scales. Electromite is gone, so he doesn't have to worry about any of those repercussions, because Guard Dragon plays were invested into. And losing both of those scales must hurt quite a bit, with, I believe, only 1 card in hand, too. He cannot obviously make another Electromite. He would need a very, very good draw at this point. And I don't even know what that draw could be. I was thinking something along the lines of, like, Servant, perhaps, Dragon Shrine to dump the Dark Worm to the grave, but I don't think that would help too much either, as he would have to clear his field first to even use that effect. Now going to use Compulse on that attack declaration of that Mythical Beast Jackal King. Not going to take any damage here if he doesn't have to. now going to tribute summon for Jackal King. Play the Archfiend Eccentric that he top decked. That will give Jackal King 2 counters. Putting a monster negate on the board now. Now has been forced, obviously, to move into main phase 2 using Archfiend Eccentric effect. To target a set, and he's going to chain a Trap Trick to grab a Paleozoic. I'm not sure what that one is. It may be Olenoides. I know it's not Canadia, but yeah. So that's going to be it. Pendulum player just going to scoop and the resolving of that Trap Trick. Not too much you can do there. Things looking a little bit better here in game 2, though. Getting started with the Spell Power Grasp. I mean, not the Spell Power Grasp, but Spell Power Control. To be able to add an Endymion card from his deck to hand. Of course, going for Servant, and then following up with Pendulum Call, discarding a Master Cerberus to be able to search 2 Pendulum Magician monsters from his deck to his hand. So very, very strong start here. Pendulum Call and Spell Power Control. A very strong start to the turn. Unfortunately, not able to get any counters on that Servant, because that would have been 2 or 3 perfect counters right there total. But I think he wants to start his turn off with something different. And if I were him, I might have started this turn a bit differently. Well, I guess you can't get the Spell Power Control extra counter in there because you searched Servant with that in the first place. So could have at least gotten another counter, I guess, but it doesn't matter. Getting the Master Cerberus play started being a more of a priority in this given situation. Obviously following up with the Chronograph to be able to destroy itself to summon out that Time Gazer, I believe. Yeah, or not Time Gazer, I'm not sure. One of the Garnet of the Chronograph engine that you don't want to really draw into. Now linking into Electromite here, obviously. Yeah, that's the one thing about Master Cerberus, is that you can only use its effect while there are no other cards in your scale, so you can't really mesh, you know, Servant of Endymion plays alongside of that, strictly because you cannot use Master Cerberus while that other scale is being used. And permanence coming down on the Electromite, which looks like it might slow him down quite a bit. Harmonizing Magician being played in the other scale, giving Servant 2 counters now. That's not going to be enough, I believe. Obviously needs 2, but it will be enough, though, to provide at least 1 negate for that Jackal King we saw earlier. Pendulum summoning now Chronograph, the Purple Poison, and the Mythical Beast Jackal King. And now going to end turn and just pass over. Not really much he can do there. No access to any Dark Worm plays for the Destrudo. For Guard Dragon plays, we could have seen a much better board. Probably if he would have drawn a Destrudo or had access to Dark Worm at the start of the turn. Seemingly just 1 card short from being able to end on a really solid board, which is unfortunate. Now, Paleo did have that impermanence, which had come in clutch there to potentially stop adding back cards and getting a potential draw, which could have drawn him into a Destrudo, which could have been spelled, you know, pretty badly for, you know, a potential bigger board to be made. And we see a Pankratops coming in, going right into battle phase to run over the Electromite, clear that off the field. Now main phase 2, thinking of possible play he wants to make. Is he going to use the Pankratops effect? Yes, he's going to. He's going to use the Jackal King here to remove 2 counters from Servant of Endymion, because it can remove counters, spell counters, that is, from anywhere on the field. He's going to negate the Jackal King. And on the response of that activation, Ghost Ogre coming down to be able to negate, or not negate, but destroy the Jackal King, putting that back to the extra deck. And proving to be a pretty smart play. Feeling, though, is that clearing, you know, trading cards here is going to be worth it. Activating Deinamiscus now to go ahead and banish that scale, that Servant of Endymion, so that will not be able to go to the extra deck, which is actually pretty clutch. Going to remove that from the game pretty much entirely. Discarding another copy of Ghost Ogre. Although it doesn't look like our Paleo player here has opened up too well 2 copies of Ghost Ogre. Some traps, being able to fight off the plays that he is making. But will it be enough, ultimately? Certainly clearing that scale does help, and if he did not draw into a scale to continue to Pendulum, it's going to just kind of sit in his hand dead for the time being. Going to swing in for 3,200 damage here, 2,000 from the Chronograph and 1,200 from Purple Poison. So taking a bit of damage here, not too much to be worried about though yet. Checking the extra deck to see what's in there. Master Cerberus, Jackal King, and that Time Gazer, I believe, or whatever it's called. That the summonable card off of the Astrograph Sorcerer. Or not Astrograph, Chronograph. Astrograph is not legal to play. Thank God for that, I guess, because that would make this deck extremely strong, Astrograph Sorcerer. Trap Trick being played here, I believe in the main phase 2 or end phase of our Pendulum player's turn here. Summoning out that Deinamiscus in response to the activation. Let's see what he wants, what trap he's going to tutor out from his deck. Plenty of options along Paleo cards and normal trap cards in general, just generic trap cards. Going for Evacuation Compulsory Device. Going for the Compulse, the classic. Bounce a card back to the hand. Gonna draw for turn. Now, if he picked up a Swap Frog here or Lilith, it'd be a very, very strong card to see at this point in the game. Getting access to that Swap Frog engine is extremely, extremely clutch. So it's a very, very strong engine. Once that gets going and you establish the Totally Awesome, you're in a really good spot. Passing it over to the Pendulum player, not wanting to invest too much. Just going to pass it back. Pendulum is going right into the battle phase now to swing into that defense position Deinamiscus. 0 defense. Will that go through? No Paleo traps in the grave, I believe. So, not going to be able to get any free special summons off the activations of his trap cards. Of course, this Deinamiscus, if destroyed, will get banished. We know he has a second Pulse, which obviously could bounce back the Astrograph if he wanted to sort of take less damage. Could bounce back the attacking monster. Has a lot of options here. Now going to flip up the Compulse, and yes, going to bounce back the Astrograph. And chaining another copy of Trap Trick onto that redeclaration of that Purple Poison Magician onto that Paleozoic Deinamiscus. Seemingly not wanting that to get destroyed. Going to grab Olenoides, I believe, now. Off of that Trap Trick. Yep, which can target a spell or trap on the field and destroy it. Which is pretty good in this matchup. It's an MST, if you will. So, pretty good card to have here. So, blocking some damage by compulsing that card back. Obviously, Purple Poison will have to go into that Paleozoic trap. Olenoides hitting a Called by the Grave here in the end phase, which could come in pretty clutch, having a Called by the Grave cleared like that for potential Swap Frog, or even a Lilith play, which he happens to top deck here, is pretty crucial, allowing that to go through. Now just kind of stalling for some Swap Frog plays. He needs to see those Swap Frog cards, or else he's just going to be sort of running on traps until there's no left, and he's just constantly in a top decking situation here. Revealing 2 Heavy Storm Duster to try to keep those scales away, and another copy of Trap Trick here. Gonna roll the dice, gonna grab the middle copy, so most likely to have gotten Heavy Storm Duster here, which of course could prevent a full scale being completed, which will definitely be helpful, because the more you can keep those scales off the board, the better. And our opponent here, the Pendulum player, has top decked Danko Seka, which completely turns off traps now. That is huge. That is a huge top deck to be able to draw into. Swinging in with 17 and 1200 there from both of those monsters. Deciding to scoop it up there. Not much you can do with that Danko on board. Now as we head into Game 3, I want to mention real quick our sponsor at Imperium Duelist. If you guys want to check them out, down in the description below, head over to their website to check out some awesome 2-player cloth mats, some amazing sleeves, dice, calculator cases, etc., etc. You can use that discount code to save 10% off on your entire order as well. But a typical Paleo turn here, starting off Game 3. Just setting a bunch of things and reacting to whatever plays you make. That's very, very commonplace. Not too many combos, just sort of my plays are based off of your plays. How many traps will you allow me to go off, at the most optimal time? How conservatively can you play through a board like this is sort of a determinant of how well you'll be able to play against it. Because a lot of times going against A deck like Paleo, control deck, you want to play conservatively, because if you try to throw everything at it, you're just going to trigger their traps and other hand traps in a way that they want you to, just so they can get the most value out of it. And you want to be able to, you know, activate those traps in an unoptimal time so they don't get the most value out of it. Normal summoning that Dark Worm, no effect. I believe he's opened the gate 0 with that Dark Worm, which is extremely unfortunate. Dupe Frog being flipped face up, and another Dupe Frog being normal summoned to be able to go into it. Totally awesome to swing over Dark Worm for some damage. Standby phase, detaching Dupe to summon a Frog monster from the deck. It is met with Ghost Ogre, but he's still going to get access to Swap Frog, which will allow him to start his engine with 2 copies of Dupe Frog in the graveyard, and also be able to add back a water monster from his graveyard as well. So Ghost Ogre doing an okay job here at clearing the threat. Not going to negate that. Going to add back a Dupe Frog and summon out that swap to dump Ronin into the graveyard. So very unfortunate for the Pendulum player to be able to not open up so well here, and the Paleo player opening up seemingly well, taking advantage of that summon Dark Worm and pass, taking very, very good advantage of that, going, you know, wasting 0 time going into Swap Frog, or not Swap Frog, the Totally Awesome. Now normal summoning Servant of Endymion. A interesting play, seeming as though he doesn't have too much else to do. There's that gate 0 being played, giving Servant of Endymion 1 spell counter, which I believe it can attack directly while it has a counter on it. I believe so, and then it gets an additional effect off of that. But Canadia being played, booking that face down, stopping it from being able to be used for link summons, getting into Electromite or anything like that. MST being played now, and hitting a set trap trick. That's going to be chained, and Canadia will be chained also out of the graveyard to summon itself out. And going to banish an Olenoides to set an Olenoides off that trap trick. So he's got more spell trap removal here, which is going to be very good going into this next turn. And as it stands, can be able to make a Totally Awesome here into the next turn with these 2 monsters, the Canadia and the Swap Frog. So drawing for turn, passing it back to the Paleo player, drawing for turn, bouncing that Swap Frog back, and normal summoning for turn that Swap Frog, sending another copy of Ronin to the graveyard. Now I believe he pretty much can OTK at this point with the given cards. The Pendulum player going to check the grave, seeing that there's plenty of resources in there, a couple of Ronins and Dupe Frogs as well. Going to scoop it up. He still has the access to bring that Ronin or that swap back to hand, to be able to do more plays and just continue to pop off. So very easily going to be able to go into Boral Sword with Totally Awesome there, no problem. Pendulum's going to scoop it up, and Paleo will take that match 2-1. I believe that was round 1 of the tournament. I don't know if I'll be uploading them in consecutive order, round 1, 2, 3, and 4. And yeah, we'll see though. I think some of the matches though going forward are matches that were at table 1, so the highest rated match, if you will. So we'll go ahead and wrap this one up here. If you guys enjoyed, if you did, be sure to leave a like. And let me know if you guys want to see more feature matches in the future. I'm obviously going to keep posting them regardless, because I'm really happy to be able to get feature matches up on the channel again from locals. Haven't been able to do that for quite some time. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, as always, want to kill signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one.